We got Leah Letson here on the program, who's going to be making her UFC debut on The Ultimate Fighter Season 28 finale on November 30th against Julija Stoliarenko. Leah, how are you today?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. And I got to give you props here. You know, you're one of the most patient fighters I've ever had to interview because for those who don't know, we've probably done like 3 or 4 test runs of this and we've had some tech issues. So I got to thank you right off the bat. Very thankful of you during Thanksgiving weekend. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, well, that's great. Let's talk about The Ultimate Fighter. How was that experience for you overall? Because, you know, some fighters love it. They do it again. Other fighters are like, I don't ever want to see that house again. How did you take away this whole experience?
I'm glad I did it. It was a cool experience, something that most people will never get to understand, but it's something I probably wouldn't choose to do again just because it's kind of like a basic training where you're secluded from everyone and everything and you're stuck in a house with a bunch of people that you don't know. The training's a lot different. It kind of sucks because the training's up to your coaches, and I wasn't obviously happy with Team Whitaker's training that is shown in the episodes. So I wasn't entirely happy with the level of training I was getting. So I was thankful that my teammates helped me out with training back at the house, and I brought home a bunch of workout equipment. So I was training on my own between workouts at the house. So I learned a lot about myself and how hard I like to work even without any coach telling me what to do. So I'm glad I did it, but I probably wouldn't choose to do it again.
And you mentioned it there. I mean, them focusing a lot on, you not liking the coaching staff. What do you feel like you were portrayed properly on the show? Because I know editing, sometimes they can do those little editing tricks and everything.
I think they didn't really show how much my teammates also didn't like the training. They did a little bit on the episode that's going to air tonight, but they showed me more than anyone, but I was not the only one who felt this way.
Okay. So they kind of singled you out, which is kind of a bummer, but hey, I mean, it's, I guess they got to get ratings, I guess, right? So I don't know, whatever the deal is there. Would you say the coaching stuff was the biggest challenge for you, or was it not being able to talk to your friends or family while you're on the show?
Not being able to talk to my friends or family is something I'm used to. I mean, I'm in the military, so I've been through basic training and deployment and stuff, so that didn't bother me at all. That got to a lot of fighters. They miss their friends and family, but to me, that didn't faze me at all. The part that was hard was not having the coaching or the training that I am used to. So I had to take it upon myself to get all the work I needed, and that's exactly what I did. I mean, I was running sprints almost every morning, at least 3 times a week, and then I was doing strength training at the house, and I was having some of my teammates hold pads. So I was getting all the training I needed. It's just I had to take it upon myself to do what I needed to do.
Yeah, and that's a big part of MMA is being disciplined. I mean, how much does your military background, do you feel like, help you in MMA just because you got to be disciplined with the diet and, training and getting on time and stuff? Do you feel like that's really helped your career?
Oh, definitely helped my career. Definitely helped me mentally because, like I said, I'm used to being away from family and friends, so that helped me a lot. And then the discipline was huge. Like, I didn't realize how much more disciplined I was than most people until I got on the show. And I was really strict with my diet. I was really strict with my training, way more strict than almost all the other fighters. And I think that's because of the military background.
What would you say was the best part of being on the show? Was it the food that you could eat, or what? I mean, is there anything in particular that you really liked?
I really liked living in a really nice house. That was a nice change because I don't live in the best neighborhood back home. So it was nice to live in like a fancy house and not have to pay for groceries. That was probably my favorite part.
Yeah, that's a bonus, not having to, you can just say, hey, I want this, and they'll get it for you. It's not like you got to like look at the discounted food items or whatever because you're trying to save some cash, right? So that's good.
Exactly.
Getting to eat good. Is there anyone on the show you plan to still keep in touch with? Like, who did you make friends with outside of the show?
Honestly, I made friends with pretty much everyone. The blue team has a group chat on WhatsApp, and so we still keep in contact a little bit. And then Marcia Allen and I became really close on the show. I still talk to her, and then Maurice and I became really good friends. But yeah, I like everyone that was on the show, and we're all in contact on social media, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
How happy are you to find out you were on the finale? Because I know sometimes not everyone gets onto the UFC card after the show's over.
I was really, really excited. just to be making my UFC debut, it means so much to me. I worked so hard to get into the UFC, so like to be able to fight on the finale, even though I didn't make it to the finals, it means everything to me.
And let's talk about your opponent, Julija Stoliarenko, 4-2-1 record. How do you feel like you match up against her here?
I love this matchup. I wanted this matchup. She's very one-dimensional, I think. She likes jiu-jitsu, and against my style, that's perfect because she's the type that'll pull guard in a fight, and I like to be on top and ground and pound. So I think the matchup is perfect for me. I think the striking, I outclass her, and the wrestling. And I mean, we trained together for 6 weeks on the show, and I think that my style will shut down her game. So I'm pretty excited.
And you've known about this fight for a while. The show's wrapped up filming for a bit. How have you structured your training? Is it just mainly back home at Pura Vida?
Oh yeah, that's where I do all my training is Pure Vita. I have a strength and conditioning coach and a nutritionist that's my roommate, so that works out perfectly. So we just go to the gym like all the time. I train about 3 to 5 times a day, depending on the day. So my training camp is not really structured just for Yulia. I'm always training and always ready for any opponent, but we have been specifically defending arm bars and stuff because to throw up arm bars and jiu-jitsu submission. So I have been training a little bit of submission defense for this specific camp, but other than that, I'm just training hard like normal.
Okay, that's good. Do you ever train with any of the bigger bodies at Pura Vida? Because I know there's a lot of, there's like Alton Cunningham and Tim Hiley there. Do you ever get to work with them, or is it just mainly the lower weight class fighters at the gym?
I work with everyone.
Oh, you do? Okay, good.
Yeah, I was working with Alton the past several weeks.
Oh,
actually.
cool. Okay.
Yes, I work with everyone, and including the big guys, and I think that's why girls feel so light and like way less strong because I'm so used to working with heavier guys.
Okay. That's excellent. And obviously the weight cut's on point. I mean, you mentioned you got the nutritionist. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that as far as
Right.
resources, right? So
Yeah, no, my weight's great actually right now. I have to miss out on Thanksgiving, but that's definitely worth the sacrifice.
yeah, because you get to have Christmas. I mean, that's a trade-off. If you had to pick one, obviously, there's no presents on
Sure.
Thanksgiving, so that's for sure. Who's going to be in your corner for this fight? Zach Otto, I imagine.
Yep, Zach Otto, Jake Clipp, and Nick Trost. Those are my three main coaches, and they're going to be in my corner this next week.
And what's your prediction? How do you see this fight ending on the 30th?
Honestly, I don't like to make predictions just because I like to take the fight wherever it goes and whatever she gives me. But honestly, I'd like a knockout with either a head kick like my last fight or my left hand.
Okay. What's next for you after this fight? I know you're not looking past your opponent, but I'm sure you've thought about the future in the UFC if you get the victory here. Do you have anything mapped out? Are there any cards you're looking at next year where like, hey, I'd love to be on that one?
Honestly, whatever the UFC wants to give me, a matchup I do like would be the winner of the finale, to be honest with you, just because I made some small mistakes in that semifinal fight, and I think that I match up well with both Penny and Macy, and I would like to fight the winner of that a little bit.
Little bummed out at all that you're not fighting on the Milwaukee card. I mean, it's like a week later, so it's or 2 weeks, I should say. So yeah, that would be a nicer drive, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't really care though because I think fighting in Las Vegas for my UFC debut is pretty cool as well. So yeah, I'm happy with where I'm fighting.
So we've sort of covered a theme here in that you're very structured. You have sort of a routine going. What about downtime? Do you have any sort of vices on the side, any hobbies outside of the sport that like you need to do just to keep yourself sane with all the training and everything else?
I like to go shooting.
Okay,
and I
nice.
went hunting for the first time last weekend. And that was pretty fun. I also like snowboarding and listening to music. So those are some of my main hobbies is shooting, I'd say. It's a nice stress reliever.
Okay, that's good. So ideal situation after this fight, you go snowboarding with your headphones on, and then you go hunting after that. I would imagine that would be sort of the best thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, just combine everything.
Yeah, that'd
That's
be pretty
perfect.
awesome.
Cool. Well, it was great getting a chance to talk to you today, Leah. I really appreciate the time. Just to remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you have any sponsors or shout outs, the floor is yours.
You can find me on social media at Leonidas MMA on both Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Ancient Nutrition, Dr. X Supplements, Grit Fitness, Precision Pattern Company, Christopher and Daly on Law Office, and Aromatic Blessings. They helped me tremendously with financial support, and I really appreciate them.